Welcome back to the PBA Super Clash here at Thunderbolt Lanes in Allen Park, Michigan. Sean Rash versus Jason Belmonte. Hey guys, talking about rivalries, let's take a look at our Ebonite flashback. This was a pretty good rivalry. Marshall Holman versus Mark Roth, and it was back in their heyday, 1978, 1979 in Grand Prairie, Texas. Mark Roth, the winner in 78. Holman gets his revenge and wins in 79.
You know, these are two guys that I grew up watching the most, and who I wanted to be like. These two were the best. They were fiery on the lanes, and it was just two people that I idolized.
You know, to go with that, Randy, they were great bowlers against each other, but they were great partners as well.
Yeah, they were great friends off the lanes. They formed one of the most formidable doubles teams in the history of the PBA. There's Marshall Holman just kicking that 4-7-10 out to win in 79.
And as opposed to these two, the guys we got today, they're not going to be bowling doubles anytime soon.
And what an honor to have PBA Hall of Famer Mark Roth joining us. There's a standing ovation for one of the greatest of all times. Mark Roth, tremendous off the lanes, just a great guy. Off the lanes, on the lanes, you didn't want to mess with him.
You want to know
just leave him alone. And if you slapped it off in his face, that was probably one of the worst things you could do. All right, we start game two. Jason Belmonte with a 20-pin lead. Now let's take a look at our oil pattern. Now the lane on the left side of your screen is Cheetah before practice. On the right side of your screen, after game one, you can see how the oil is starting to lighten up just inside the second arrow. That's where all the traffic has been, and the lighter that area gets, the more friction is going to be created in that zone on the lane.
You're seeing a little bit of it right there. You can see in round between 5 and 10, you can see it start to break down a little bit. And that could affect what Belmonte's doing a little bit more, because he's using a higher response bowling ball as that breaks down, where Sean is blending it out much more with a slower response ball that as it hits the dry it responds slower, as it hits the oil it responds slower, much like a snow tire.
Saw that graphic of the way these two have finished on Cheetah over the last 5 events. So, you know, no wonder. I thought Chris brought up a great point in that Sean Rash could have chose the Wolf, which is the shortest of the patterns. I think Jason Belmonte struggled in that oil pattern much more so than the 35-foot Cheetah pattern.
Yeah, without question, I think you should have chose that pattern as well. But, you know, this match is far from over, so there can be a lot of things that happen on this shorter pattern.
It looked like Belmo moved a little farther left in the first frame on the left lane, so we'll see what happens on the right lane.
Now, who was it that mentioned the players might struggle a little bit in game two with carry because of transition and whatnot? You know, thus far, I know it's early, but hey, nothing but strikes in the first 2 frames, Chris Barnes. I'm putting it on you.
Yeah, that's absolutely. But the transition obviously hasn't happened yet. We'll see what happens here. The next couple shots will tell everything.
I'm looking for it. And obviously, guys, both players using 2 different bowling balls on each lane because of the difference in lengths of the pattern. The shorter Cheetah pattern is obviously going to be a lot more aggressive in terms of reaction, a lot more friction on that shorter pattern than, say, the longer pattern. So it's not a question of, hey, throwing the same ball in 2 lanes and just, you know, having your feet and your target in a different spot. You got to use different equipment.
Well, you're looking at me again like I'm wrong. They're not going to struggle on this short pattern. Sean especially is not going to struggle on the short patterns. He's dialed in. He might leave a 10-pin here and there, but that's about all he's going to leave. If somebody's going to struggle with it, it'll be Belmonte on the short pattern. And I think the transition on the longer pattern is where Sean could get caught.
And Tommy, you brought up a great point that Jason Belmonte had the choice of starting lane, and he chose to finish on the longer pattern 2 out of the 3 games.
Correct. You know, there was a coin toss to see who would basically have deciding who'd be the higher seed or whatever. Belmonte won the coin toss, and he's elected to finish on the TSC pattern twice in 2 of the 3 matches.
And folks, for you at home, that yellow number that says -10 now, that's a running total from game 1. Sean Rash just bringing it to the party here in game 2. Each game worth a couple $1,000. Total 3-game total pin match with the winner receiving another 10 grand. Not to mention bragging rights. 2 of the PBA's top players, would you say? 2 of the best in the world?
Without question.
You know, one of the things that I brought up in the TSC, Chris, is that this guy, not only does he bring all the power to the party, but his carry percentage is unlike any other players on tour. Would you agree with that?
Well, it seems like anytime guys get on a great roll, their carry gets better too.
So it has nothing. So his carry's not good because he's got the strongest bowling ball on tour?
I think he has the biggest pocket because of that power, for sure. But you have to get it there. If you're not hitting the pocket every shot, nobody notices the fact that you're carrying a little bit more.
I don't know who said that wasn't me, but there's a child crying, and Jason Belmonte unfazed.
Yeah, Belmonte has taken this this grudge match thing, kind of taken it in stride and just kind of dealt with it, where it seems to be a little more personal for Sean than it does for Jason.
In stride, Jason Couch, or is he just that focused and wants to win that badly that nothing bothers this guy? No, you can't get in this guy's head.
I think he's in his own little world right now, and he better stick with that because my horse is getting into that run.
Uh-oh. Yeah, here comes the horse. You got the whip out?
I do.
The thing about bowling, though, it's not an action-reaction sport. So if you get too revved up, both of these guys' miss is the same. They throw it hard, they throw it by the spot. Jason's managing his motions very well. He knows that if he gets revved up, he'll go by the head pin, so he's keeping himself out of that mix.
And wouldn't you agree that over the last couple of years, Jason Belmonte has been better at that than Sean Rash has on television in big moments?
Yeah, definitely. Managing emotions is a huge part of television. Being able to slow your brain down enough is hard to do.
It's a 10-pin match halfway through game 2. Our players haven't missed yet. Will we have perfection in game 2? The completion when we come back.
Welcome back to the PBA Super Clash. Mike Jakubowski, lane side. All strikes in game 2. Time to meet Sean Rash with this Bioblast. Sean Rash, 31 years old. 9 years a pro. 7 PBA Tour titles. 2 PBA Major titles. And the 2011-12 Chris Schenkel PBA Player of the Year. Game 2 pins on the line, total pins match on the line, all strikes. This crowd is rocking.
Stay tuned after the Super Clash for the CP3 PBA Remix. A look back at 5 years of NBA star Chris Quall's celebrity bowling event. That's coming up next following today's Super Clash.
Back to Randy in the Lion's Den.
All right, Tommy Jones, Jason Couch, Chris Barnes, and myself. Guys, I'm going to put this out there for you. Let me know what you think. Is this Super Clash good for our sport? You take 2 of the best bowlers in the world, put them together in this format. Is this good for bowling?
I think it's good for bowling. Let's get it all out in the open and let's see what happens in this environment. Because I'm tired of these guys going back and forth, but not doing it in front of each other. Because they always complain behind the other guy's backs. Let's get it out there. Let's get it on.
Tommy?
Yeah, I think it's something that's going to help settle the score, and maybe after this, one at least have a reason to why he's correct and their thought process, and the other won't really have any to say anything. They beat him heads up on a pattern that each of them chose.
Okay, but Chris Barnes, good for them. Is it good for the rest of the bowling world? Is it good for our sport in general?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I think people want to see a lot of different players. These guys are on TV all the time. We're already getting to see them bowl all the time. I think guys would like to see someone else to have a chance to come up through.
Great point. Hey, guess what, guys? Nobody's missed in this game.
Hey, like I said, the scores are going to come down. They're going to go.
No,
nobody's going to miss this game at all.
That's not what you said.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Sounds like what he tells me when we bowl doubles. He tells me to move and not 210.
Somebody's got to be the whipping post. Jason Couch, highest match ever on television.
Highest match would have to be Mike Albee and David Ozio, 300-279. Or would it be
Tommy?
Peoria?
Actually, he is correct. I was actually going to say Brian Goebel, Norm Duke, 296, 280, but he's correct. It was David Ozio, 1.
Nice play, Jay.
Fountain of knowledge right here.
Yes, you are.
Saw it in
Plethora.
person.
Jay did. Jay spent a lot of time watching Albee shows, so.
Jason Couch, 3-time Tournament of Champions, one of the only player to win the Tournament of Champions back-to-back-to-back years. Oh, there's the baby again.
It's probably my kid. It's all right.
So it's a good reset. It's something that he wouldn't have handled so well, you know,
Agreed.
10 shows ago. And that's part of the experience and part of dealing with that.
Both players front 7.
Oh, God.
There was the one where he just comes up and out of it a little bit, where if he stays on balance, he actually keeps his hand underneath it, and he probably gets that one back to half pocket and strikes.
Is that because he gets too pumped up, he gets too aggressive in that situation, just overthrows?
No, I actually think a lot of times his feet actually get slow.
They get slow.
His upper body gets in front. He's gotten it so fast before. It's a combination of getting in your swing early versus getting your feet back behind it. In that case, he was trying to stay slow. He actually got up in front. Once your head gets in front of your knee, not much good happens in any sport.
That's the first time Chris Barnes has been right all day. But I can tell you this, that Chris is actually very accurate in that if you see that replay, Sean actually comes up and out of it. He even does it on the spare shot as well.
Yeah, it's a problem that a lot of guys with higher rev rates have because we're trying to catch so much of it.
And that was your hammer tough spare replay, and he actually made that 2-8 look a little on the tough side. Belmonte, see if he can make it 8 in a row. Whoa, a little fast.
He almost did that last time. When he moved left, he moved into a lot more oil. His break point started moving down the lane. We're starting to get a little bit of carry down. He doesn't get it to the right quick now. He's going to do this.
But guys, they went front 7, made it look easy. They couldn't miss flush, and now all of a sudden, I mean, both players almost left 2-8-10 combinations.
Yeah, well, I think the adrenaline got going there for Belmo as well because he knew he could step on Rash right there if he kept striking.
And you are seeing 2 bowlers that are bowling very well right now, so there's a lot of good shots in that stretch of both starting with the front 7.
Let's talk two-handed style versus one-handed. Tommy, your take? Do you I mean, are you on board with the two-handed style? Are you okay with it?
You know, I have mixed emotions about it. It's to me, whenever it seems like it's kind of cheating sometimes because I grew up old school. But at the same time, you know, it's not that easy to do. A lot of people are trying it, but you have to be very flexible and start doing it at a very young age.
Goes light on the right lane, goes high on the longer pattern left lane. Jason Couch, your take on two-handed bowling?
I think it's a travesty that it's in this sport. I'm old school. If you couldn't do it with one hand, you didn't try and do it with 2. You just tried to make yourself better. This is the way this kid grew up. This is the way he learned how to bowl. So I don't fault him for that. I just don't agree with it.
Chris Barnes?
I don't really have a problem with it. I've tried it enough to know how hard it is. And although you do have a much higher rev rate, it's much more difficult to hit your target.
I threw that one pretty good.
You know, you get the argument on the other side, which is, well, you should be required to put your thumb in the ball. Well, that's fine, but if you drill the thumb hole an 1.5 inch a size hole, all you do now is just put your thumb in that. You're not using it. It's the same kind of technique.
Chance for Rash to take this game.
This is a big shot for Rash coming up here because not only can he win a game and pick up some extra money here, but also he can let Belmo know that he's not going anywhere.
Right. Well, and he right now he's in the driver's seat because he can strike out and win this game. But remember, he's still down by 18 pins because he lost the first game by 20, 258-238.
It's a great point. Strike 9 spare wins the game and a couple $1,000s. But he needs all 3 here to try and get back to even on this in the totals.
Belmo can still shoot 266.
Strike 9 spare puts Sean Rash at 267. Uh-oh. When you heard him say go, and that's an indication of a ball that's inside of target.
Yeah, he knew. He looked like he just helped that one just a fraction after the last one that got a little behind it. And that one he just wanted to make sure he caught. He just caught it a little bit early.
So now we're at a point where Sean Rash could have cut into the deficit. Instead, Belmonte has a chance to increase his lead.
I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed that Belmo's got about 4 breaks in these 2 games so far. I have not seen one for Mr. Rash yet. So that means he's got a bunch coming the last game.
That's when you get the whip out.
That's the whip.
And it's an excellent point. He had a few last week, the Tournament Champions, too. So I do believe everything evens out over time. He better make some pretty good shots coming down the stretch here.
However, that's one of the reasons why I picked him. The good mojo, the momentum.
Yeah. Me too. He's blowing on house money after winning the Tournament Champions last week.
Solid 9 again.
All right, Jason Belmonte can get up, strike out, and shoot 266. Add another 8 pins to his already 20-pin lead from game 1. You don't want to let him get too far ahead because of all the amount of strikes that are being thrown. It might be tough to overcome a deficit of more than 30 pins. Big mistake.
That was a terrible, terrible shot. Terrible.
And this is exactly why you want to overshell on this pattern or stay as close to the dry as possible, because there's no reason to ever go light on a short pattern.
This is what you were talking about. It just happened a little bit later than you anticipated.
I told you in the 6th frame it was coming. He got it in and did it, and these next 2 shots both went to the same spot.
Jason.
Jason Belmonte loses game 2. A couple $1,000 goes to Sean Rash. When we come back, it's game 3. Jason Belmonte takes a 3-pin advantage going into the 3rd and final game. Stay with us.
Back to the PBA Super Clash. Sean Rash takes game 2, 258-241. A game apiece, and Belmonte leads by 3 pins in total pinfall. Game 3 yet to come, and Kimberly Pressler is standing by with our combatants. Kimberly.
Jason, what happened to your ball reaction in that last match?
Ball reaction was fine. It was just bad shots, Kimberly. I mean, that one in the 10th, I didn't get it to the spot that I wanted to get it to, but you know, you can only run on your luck for so long. I got a little lucky a little bit earlier on. It's time to step up, throw some quality shots, and put him under a little bit more pressure.
What do you need to do to win this?
Well, mathematics says I just need to beat him by a pin, so I intend to do that.
All right, now Sean, can you feel the momentum going into your favor at this point?
Well, yes and no. I mean, we're both bowling extremely well. We knew the scores were going to be high. This is what our sport wanted. We wanted some positive bowling, some great bowling. You've got 2 of the greatest right now going at it, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Okay, back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Kimberly. Back with me, my panel of experts, Barnes, Couch, Jones. This is about as close as it's going to get. I mean, it's a 3-pin differential. These guys are averaging just under 250. Tommy, is this playing out the way you thought it would?
A little bit. I definitely thought that they would have more transition on the right lane, the longer of the patterns and the shorter pattern. And it seemed like Belmo lost a little bit of the right lane, so now we're going to see what happens. They're going to have to make some adjustments, and I think he's going to keep striking or Sean's going to run him down.
So you thought more transition on the left lane, the longer pattern, yet it looked like Belmonte completely lost the right lane.
Correct. I really thought that the left lane was going to start to go in the front. This surface over here has a little more friction built into it than some of the other surfaces we bowled on, and when that happens, you have to chase it faster. Didn't seem like they were chasing it that fast, and I thought it would catch one of them, and Belmo broke up a split in the 9th, but Sean's left a 9-pin, so we'll see what happens, and it can go anywhere from here.
All right, Jason, what do you see going on out there?
I see Jason Belmonte running out of luck. I think he threw a couple of errant shots there late when he really could have took advantage of it and put some distance between him and Sean. He's been getting breaks the whole match. My horse is turning the 3rd corner, baby. He's going to run him down this game.
Is Jason Belmonte going to be able to figure out what to do on the right lane?
If he gets out there and he happens to pitch one right early and it overhooks off the dry, he's done.
Wow. Chris Barnes?
Well, I think Jason's right about one thing. I think at some point it's only natural.
Wait a minute, you think he's right about something?
Yeah, mark it down. He's going to throw one right quick at one point, and it's probably going to overhook. If that shot doesn't overhook and he doesn't split on it, Sean's going to be in trouble. But like the best quarterback in the game that's getting ready to play this afternoon, I think Sean is going to put together a 4th quarter rally here. I'm not sure Jason can hold him off.
Guys, who does this mean more to win? this competition, Sean Rash or Jason Belmonte?
I feel like it means more to Sean. Sean's one that wears his emotions on his sleeve a lot more than Jason does. Jason kind of takes it in stride and has been bowling great, and he's got all the accolades. You know, he's our player of the year from last year. He won the Tournament of Champions last week. I think right now it's all about Sean and trying to prove to himself that he can actually beat Jason Belmonte when it matters.
I think there's a lot of great points there. I think it appears for sure that it's more important to Sean. I think it means way more to Jason than it first looks like.
Jason?
I think it's even for both players. I just think they have two different personalities, and they both want it more than anything right now.
All right, so let's talk about adjustments. Who has to make more adjustments in this final game? Sean Rash, Jason Belmonte. Chris?
I think Jason has the more critical ones because of his ball choice on that right lane. Small moves will make big differences on that shorter pattern. Sean's going to have to move on the left lane, get away from that spot where he went light and then went a little high, but I think it's an easier move for him to make. I think he's very good at it already.
Jason?
I think they're both in the same spot. I think if they both make good adjustments, it'll be high scoring again, but if one of them misses it early, they could get far behind really quick.
Tommy?
As much as it pains me to say, I agree with Chris. The right, you know, having a high rev rate, the right lane, when it starts to go, the worst thing you want to do is see when you get one in on a shorter pattern that it kind of flutters, because then you know that you have to get one to the friction, and you see it all the time where it goes high, and when it goes high, you can big four. I made the 210 a heck of a lot more times than I made the big four in my life.
Well, guys, it only took us 2 games to finally start to agree with one another. When we come back, the third and final game of the 2014 PBA Super Clash. These players are used to jawing at one another. Looks like they've been doing a lot of talking to the pins. Game 3 coming up.